Hello Algebra 1! Today we are going to be reviewing vertical motion model and we'll also be doing some quadratic formula. Alright, so here are two formulas. Again, this is the drop and the throw formula. The big thing is we use the throw formula whenever you're given velocity, and if you are not given velocity, we will use the drop formula. H stands for your end height, S stands for your starting height, T stands for time, that's like your X value that you're trying to find, and then V stands for velocity. All right, so here we go. A stone falls off of a 60-foot tall cliff. How long does it take to hit the ground below? If you would like, you can set up your starting height, ending height, velocity. If you can go ahead and write your equation without that, that's totally fine as well. So we know that it hits the ground, that's our end height, that's going to be a 0. That means that this 60-foot tall cliff, that's where the rock is starting at, that's going to be your starting height. And no velocity is given to you, so we just are going to ignore this, and that means we are using this equation right here. So my h is 0 equals my negative 16t squared plus my starting height is 60. And now I'm just going to go to my calculator. Here's my 0. Here's my negative 16t squared plus 60, and I'm noticing that I have a 6 up here, so let's redo that. All right, and then again, you want to go to your window and be a little bigger than the biggest number in your problem. So I need something bigger than 60, which I'm just going to put 80. And then I'm going to graph. Oh, that was not good. So as a reminder, depending on your teacher, they may want you to find both intersection points or only the positive one. So if you're finding both intersection points, remember for drop problems, these are just opposites. So this is 1.94 comma 0. And so this one over here will just be negative 1.94 comma 0. But again, this is only for drop problems. For the problems with velocity, you're going to have to find both. And then t is always the positive one. So 1.94 seconds. All right, let's try another one. Valerie's a volleyball at a height of 9 feet. When she spikes it, that means that's her starting height, with an initial downward velocity of 30 feet per second. Okay, again, they're identifying velocity, that's v. How long will it take for the ball to hit the ground? Again, the ground, that's going to be your end height, and that's going to be a 0. Okay, and if you want, you can go ahead and you can do this. But again, if you want to skip it and just write your equation, that's okay too. Starting height is 9. Ending height is 0. Downward velocity, so 30, but it's a negative. All right, so remember your equation is h equals, okay? It's always h equals. So 0 equals, and then it's negative 16t squared. We do have velocity, so minus 30t, make sure there's a minus there, plus our starting height is 9. And then we're going to graph it. Okay, that 0 looks good. Let's type in the rest. Okay, again, make sure you have a minus 30, not a negative 30, and make sure you still have your x. And then my window needs to be bigger than the biggest number in my problem. So, 20 is fine. Okay, and graph. And even though you can't see the top, that's okay. You should still graph the top. Okay, and again, I'm going to find both intersection points, but it's possible your teacher only cares about the positive one. So this is going to be a 0.26 comma 0. Okay, remember this one does have velocity, so you can't just put 0.26 on the other side. You actually have to find it. So negative 2.14 comma 0. And time is always positive, so time will be the 0.26 seconds. All right, next, there is a building that is on fire. Oh no! A firefighter needs to toss an oxygen mask up to a person in one of the windows. The window is 25 feet above the ground. The firefighter who is standing on a ladder releases the mask at a height of 15 feet with an initial velocity of 45 feet per second. Does the mask reach the person? If so, when? Okay, this is another one where people struggle with figuring out where the starting height is and where the ending height is. So here's a little picture. Okay, so there is a person in a window. All right, and the window is up here at 25. And the firefighter on a ladder, here we'll give him like a red hat. Gosh, I'm quite the artist, aren't I? Okay, so that's the firefighter. This is the person in the window. Help me. Okay, so the window is 25 feet up. And we're gonna move him down a little bit. He's not all the way up there. He's here. We just lost a leg. And then the firefighter who's standing on a ladder releases at a height of 15. So he's at 15. So he's throwing the mask to the person. That means the mask is starting with the firefighter and the starting height is 15. The ending height, we're wanting it to get to the person in the window. The window is at 25. And our velocity, it says, is 45 feet per second. And it is going up, so it's a positive. So we should have h equals 25 equals negative 16t squared plus vt plus height. So usually the mistake people make is they switch the 25 and the 15. Drawing a picture really helps. Okay, so this is negative 16 x squared plus 45x plus 15. And my window I have at 20. I want it a little higher than that. 30. All right, so that line up there, that's representing the window. Okay, and we can see that the mask, which is the red curve, does go ahead and does intersect that blue line. So that means that our mask does reach the window. And it actually hits it in two different places. That means there are two different times that we can catch that mask. So we are going to have to find both intersection points because there are two positive ones. We have point 24 is the first one. And again, I'm just using second trace 5, enter, enter, enter each time. Okay, and then I've got to do it again. Second trace 5, move your cursor over, enter, enter, enter. And that's going to be a 2.57, comma 25. So we have t equals 0.24 seconds and 2.57 seconds. Both of those are positive, so we do need to give both answers. What if there is a person in a window 50 feet up? Will the mask reach this person? Okay, so this changes a couple things. It changes our end height because now we got to get this all the way up to 50 instead of, so we got to go back, we got to change this 25 to a 50, but you're also going to have to change your window to something bigger than 50. So let's say 75 again. And it's close, but you can see, no, the parabola does not hit the line. So that means that the mask will not reach the person. Okay, and we should draw a picture to show that. This represents us showing our work for our answer. Say no, the parabola does not hit the line. All right, so now we're going to go ahead. We're going to do some overall review from a few days ago. So we're going to start with quadratic formula. Again, here is your equation. X is equal to opposite b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And remember, you can't identify a, b, and c until you have an equal 0. So we do have to go ahead and subtract this 8 over. 5 minus 8 is negative 3, and now we can go ahead and do our a, b, and c value. A is 2, B is -4, and C is -3. And we'll go ahead and plug these numbers in. So opposite B means my -4 changes to a positive, plus or minus square root of B squared minus 4. My A value is 2. My C value is -3, all over 2 times 2. Next, I'm going to evaluate my discriminant. So that's this part right underneath my square root. Just going to go ahead and type that in. Do not type in the square root, just type in what's underneath the square root. Make sure you have parentheses. And that gives us 40. So now I'm just going to rewrite this whole thing. And 2 times 2 is 4. And finally, I'm going to type this whole thing into my calculator. So I have 4 plus square root 40, enter, divide by 4. So my first answer is a 2.58. Or, now I do it again, 4 minus square root 40, enter, divide by 4. Don't forget that division step, -0.58. Okay, and there are your 2 answers. All right, let's go ahead and give number 5 a try. Again, we cannot use quadratic formula until we have an equals 0, so we will have to minus this 2x over. Make sure you line it up underneath the 6x, because those are like terms. -6x minus 2x is -8x. Okay, and now your A value is just going to be a 1. Our B value is a -8. And our C value is a 16. Okay, here we go. X equals opposite B, so my -8 becomes a +8, plus or minus square root of B squared, again, make sure you have parentheses, minus 4 times A times C, all over 2 times A. Step 2, evaluate the discriminant, which is what's underneath the square root. Again, don't type in the square root at this time, just type in what's underneath the square root. Make sure you have parentheses. And that gives me a 0. 2 times 1 is 2. All right, so whenever you have a discriminant of 0, this means you're only going to have one answer. But I'll show you, that's because square root of 0 is really just 0, so you're not adding or subtracting anything. But if you feel more comfortable typing it in, that's okay. It would look like this. Just don't forget you're dividing by 2. So x equals 4. Now look, if you do this again, and you do it with the minus, you still get a 4. Okay, please don't tell me 4 or 4. All right, you haven't given me a choice here. It's just 4. So just say x equals 4 and we will move on. This only has one solution. All right, finally, we have 6, 7, 8, and 9. How many real solutions or x-intercepts do the following equations have? Draw a sketch. So all we're going to do is go ahead and graph these. And again, we're looking for the x-intercepts. Go ahead and do a zoom 6 here. So your solutions are how many times it hits the x-axis. And we can see here it does not hit the x-axis at all. So this we call no solution. Okay, now I'll graph the next one, x squared minus 10x plus 25. Is that plus 25? And if you look, it only hits once. This, since it hits once, is one solution. And the last one, x squared minus 5x plus 6. Again, I'm just graphing this, and how many solutions it has is how many times it hits the x-axis. And this one, you can see it does hit twice there. once, twice. So this has 2 solutions. Now, how does that relate to quadratic formula? Well, you can see 2 solutions, 1 solution, no real solution. Okay, but what we want to talk about is the type of number that is underneath our square root. Okay, so what is the number called underneath your square root? We had a name for it. It's the discriminant. So we have 2 of these situations happening in the problems we did above. Let's go back up here. So in number 4, you had 2 solutions, right? We got 2 answers, and that is because we have a positive number underneath the square root. Okay, so again, the discriminant is a positive. Okay, you're taking the square root of a positive. We also had a situation where we only had 1 solution, right? We just got x equals 4. That's only 1 answer. When we typed it in a second time, we got the exact same thing. And that only happens when you have a discriminant of 0. Okay, when we take the square root of 0. So the discriminant is 0. And then finally, no real solution. This is one that we didn't look at today, but we should remember from a few days ago. When do we have no real solution? What type of number do we have under here? A negative. So if it's no real solution, that means we have a discriminant that is negative. All right, and again, up here you can see the way that the graph would look. So 2 solutions means we hit twice. 1 solution means we hit once. No solution means we don't hit that x-axis at all. And you can figure that out just by looking at what the discriminant is. All right, I hope this was a good review of both vertical motion model and quadratic formula, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.